Hello, greetings. This is Gilles Monsillon. I thought I'd come and wish you a happy Sunday for this. There's a full moon in Leo, a very passionate, very powerful moon. And I wanted to discuss the idea that I am my I am presence. The other day, I'm always doing mantras when I feel I need to, such as I am love, I am light, I am all that is, I am infinity, I am, to reconnect, to awaken the divinity within, because this divinity needs to be awakened in order for us to find that freedom, this God within. And I was doing this mantra, I am connected to my I am presence, but my I am presence censored my thought and replaced it by I am my I am presence. So it's about accepting that you are your highest form, you are your highest divinity, you are all that is already, and to allow that to become the guiding light and point of integration. For spirit, often I'm connected telepathically to all kinds of realm and dimensions, and often spirits send me thoughts in English, but my I am presence always speaks to me in French. I've noted that. For we have this astral body, which is the body of desire. Eventually, it's like an extracorporeal body. We're going to be able to travel through our astral body, and it is the complement of the soul. For when there is at the end of the process of purification, there comes the coming together of the soul and the astral body, which is called the immortal. It is a most poetic and most divine form of sexual encounter. For it is the coming together of those two those two parts. For as an immortal, if you're a man, your immortal is feminine, and if you're a woman, your immortal is masculine. But this will only come at the end of the process. It is something that has been we've been taught that it is called esoterical art, that the Buddhas and the immortal use this power of sexuality, elevating the seminal essence into vital essence, into spiritual essence, so that the two parts and then the two parts come together. I was going to talk about the moon, the story of the moon. I'll reserve that for another time. For our moon, I've had a very long history that is not what we've been taught. I've been working a lot with cosmic beings. And sometimes we work with ascended masters. For the ascended masters, a lot of people work with the Christ or the Buddha, for they're very well known. But there are thousands of ascended masters. They're really the treasure of wisdom, of ascending wisdom. They are the spiritual higher aristocracy. They have elevated themselves from the world of shadows and darkness into the realm of light. So you can count on them. They're always wise. They're always friendly. They have completely integrated the divine angelic nature. But there is also the descending beings, for beings that didn't gain wisdom by struggling against the dark, but were created in the wisdom, such as angels or archangels. Although angels and archangels are also ascending, but yet for us, they are more descending beings, for they come to us. And I work a lot with certain connection, very old connections with certain spirits, such as Zeus and Apollon. I usually see them together, although they are very individual life. Also work with Pallas and Athena, the goddesses. Metis as well. Metis, the goddess Metis, is the complement. It's like a spiritual feminine complement to the archangel Metatron. It's a great divine being of wisdom, the goddess of wisdom, and she has the power of shape-shifting, of become a metamorph, so to speak, to be able to change form and to transform through the DNA into any form. So it is a power we seek to eventually understand. I've met Aurore as well, Aurore with the pink finger, as Homer used to say. That she showed me from coming into the darkness of the night into the brightness of the day. One day it was an amazing experience when she showed me that. In 1 second, I saw the whole show. It was amazing. And lately, Lakshmi came to see me. She's a goddess of abundance and prosperity. So it's wonderful when Lakshmi is come always, or any higher beings. For my I am presence is often the interpreter. I cannot see necessarily or even sense or feel that those beings are connecting to me, but my I am presence is there to tell me this being is there. So I can work with on the communication or communion or work with them. For when you discuss, you go into meditation, or we all have this inner discussion with ourselves, but we have this inner God, this inner self who's mostly silent, but sometimes he speaks, and you can discuss with your creator inside of you anything. There is not anything that you've ever done that God is not aware of already. So there is nothing to hide from that inner presence. God is much more understanding and has much more loving view on all those things, no matter how light or dark they could appear to us. And so I'm going to pull a few cards. Did I do that yet? No, I don't think I've done that yet. And so I was talking about how the trees are able to call on the rain once in my video, when they said that we have this power to call on when we need from Mother Earth. It's just a matter the trees know that if they ask the earth for water, they will receive it. And I saw a documentary yesterday that confirmed that even scientists, they could verify that within the leaves of the tree there is this, when they need water, they produce those kind of pheromones. It's like aerosol. They're like little, they're very light energy particles that goes up to the sky, and they work like a magnet to water elements. And then they gather in clouds, and eventually water comes. So there is this incredible communion between nature and trees. For other trees like acacia, when there is like an elephant coming or a giraffe that will like eat it all up, it would like as soon as it sees it, it turns into this. It changes all chemistry of its leaf, so it becomes like a very uneatable to the animals, and it warns all the other trees, because when those packs of elephants or giraffes or come into little trees, they could devour it all together. So they have created those defense mechanisms, those balance. So there's a great intelligence within the realm of trees. I'm going to pull a few cards. The highest wisdom is community life. What we need to understand is health. What we need to do is the arts. And the outcome is the monk or the nun. Well, I hope this will make sense on some level. If you have any question, do not hesitate. For we're living discussing briefly societal. For we live in a world that is materialistic, where the God is called money. Money is God. Because money brings power, and we live in this plutocracy. The plutocracy is the society that's based on power. Oligarcho-plutocracy, it's based on power, but it's ruled by an elite. And Plato didn't. Plato was the main philosopher it was Pythagoras before him, but we didn't find this book, so we don't know really what for sure. When Plato, we did find this book, and so we know that he discussed in the Republic all kinds of models of society, but he would refuse to discuss plutocracy. That was Aristotle's idea that money should become the center of all life, but Plato thought that he would create way too much suffering, and he doesn't even discuss it in his book. He discussed aristocracy, he discussed, of course, the Republic, the king philosopher. He discussed democracy, as democracy would appear to be the best thing, but democracy could become a tyranny. It depends on how it can go either way. So it's not very tyranny being the worst of all model, and then there's timocracy, the search for glory, the oligarchy, the way it's ruled by the elite. But in essence, this idea of republic, may the wisest of us all rule, is by far the highest model. This it's a form of monarchy, but it's based on wisdom and meritocracy. The republic is meritocratic, when democracy is like everybody has the same rights. So there's no merit. So we can pick anyone to become the leaders, or anyone to become a surgeon, anyone to become a navigator. We don't need qualification, because in democracy everybody's got the same right. So we do. Personally, I'm much more into this meritocracy. Everybody has the same right, but as we become qualified for certain things, that makes us qualified for those things. And so it is something that our whole society is going to be evolving, understanding that in a sense we are given dominion over realities, but all those dominions, those kingdoms of the kingdom of God, It's called a kingdom. It's not a republic of God or democracy of God. God rules over his kingdom. And as we ascend, we rule over our own energy field. We become sovereign within ourselves. And so this is this kingdom is vast and without limit. There is really no limit to it. Also wanted to say briefly that there is many civilizations that have attained a very high art of civilization, for we have forgotten them, like Lemuria or Atlantis, but those were extraterrestrial civilization in essence. Even the highest cultures such as Egypt or Greece were in antiquity were extraterrestrials and interference. They were the Greek gods and the Egyptian gods were Lyrians or Cassiopeians. They came from the star, from the higher realm, in order to assist men. And even the Sumerians with the Anunnakis that invented this patriarchy, but the influence of the Anunnakis were not as positive as those of the Greeks and the Egyptians. Well, I just thought I come and say hello. I will talk about the moon. I don't know why I felt like it's at some point we're going to have to understand the moon will soon become colonizable. It's going to be quite a new adventure for men. The paintings here is Thalys, the muse of comic poetry. She's a good friend. And here is a map of the super universe of Orvonton, our own local universe. In this point, there is 100 local universe, and this I wrote down the name of Urantia here. So it's about 100,000 local universe, 1 trillion inhabited planets. The Milky Way is at the center and on the border of the Milky Way. So it's kind of really nice. I really like this painting. It's got this organic growth, and it's got this snowflake quality, and it's quite I like the coloring as well. When I sing a song to finish and pull one more card, it's an old song of Bill Withers. It's like this. And no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. And no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long, anytime she goes away. Wonder this time where she's gone. Wonder if she's gonna stay. And no sunshine when she's gone, and this house just ain't no home, anytime she goes away. I know, 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 I know. I'll leave young, sing along, 'cause ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and this house just ain't no home, anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. That's the story of can be very lonely sometimes when we find love and we feel like we're separated from love. So always cultivate the love within yourself, and always give yourself all the love you need, and then everybody that will come to you with more love will just add new strength and new love to it. But be a light unto yourself, which is not always easy. When we fall in love, we become quite vulnerable sometimes. So the card of the day is a trading of gifts. So it's about understanding the value of trade and giving, receiving, the energies of life, but life is a trading of gifts. Well, I wish you a wonderful Sunday, a wonderful full moon, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you. Namaste.